So we're going to start pretty soon here. Just waiting for a few more people. Shorts and t-shirt weather in Scotland, Kevin. I like it. Hopefully, at the end of today, I hope if technology allows me to do a little vision walk video that you can watch at the end that I took today, just a couple of minutes when I went out on a vision walk with my two girls, just to give you a little bit more of an idea of what I'm talking about when I talk about going on a vision walk, and how we can start utilizing this walk that we go on, this walk that we go on, that you're able to utilize that when you get out for kind of your 20 or 30 minutes, if it's not snowing or too cold. But if you're like Kevin and it's t-shirts and shorts weather, then that would be good. Dan, welcome. Nice to see you. I'm not too sure if you've been to a class before. Don't forget that the poll is up there, just to do your weekly check-in. How do your eyes feel today? And did you do your blink, breathe, relax, the new habit that we're looking to incorporate here over these coming weeks? So put down whether you did that or not. Fermita, did I say that right this time? I'm just going on where we that was Wednesday morning, kind of warm for me. First time, Dan. Well, welcome to the class here today. We're going to get started in just a minute. Hopefully, there's a few people that are voting here. We got in the poll for the strain eyes. We've got 5s, 6s, and 7s here today. And then let's see how people got on with their blink, breathe, relax break. So good. One person said, nope, didn't do it this week, but they'll try again next week. Yes, I did it once. Fantastic. And I managed 4 times. I can't see who that was, but well done, who managed to do it 4 times. We even have an achiever here. Yes, I achieved my goal of 5 vision breaks in 5 days. So it's perfect. 2 people did that. So congratulations to you guys that did that. It really helps. I'm doing this partly that it's important for you to be able to start getting into the right mind habit of taking these breaks during the day, of creating that vision habit, but also it creates value for you to set up a goal as far as kind of things is all pretty much up in the air with the COVID-19 stuff. People's schedules are off. So some people are on standby waiting for the world to start again. But I think you might be waiting a long time for that. So I think it's good to start thinking about now, how can we start recreating some new habits to fit the new world? And right now we've got a little bit of a transition period, so you can start to identify which habits you want to carry over. That's going to probably at least see us through to the end of the year, but we don't have to be dramatic. We can just think for the next couple of months in an ideal world, what would be 3 key habits that you could introduce to your life that's going to make it happier, healthier, and more active, which is kind of the goals that I look to do there in my own personal life. So one of those habits I'm encouraging you to do is that you're going to incorporate new vision habits. So that's what I want this blink, breathe, relax to be. And Marketa did the exercises every day. Well done, Marketa, there in Prague. Hopefully you've got a little bit of sunshine over there as well, if it's sunny over in the UK right now. So I don't know whether you hear, Marketa, but I said that at the end of this class, I'm going to do a vision walk that I did today. It's just a couple of minutes, but I'm going to go through it in a little bit more detail for you guys to try this week, so you can do that. But know that the vision walk that I'm going to do is it's simple principles that you actually can incorporate. I don't know why when I think Prague, I just think people sitting on balconies looking over late into the evening. So there's a chance for you to be able to incorporate the same principles from the vision walk. So Munir was saying about breaking the habit of looking into the phone for work and relax. So it's important that we identify this, actually, Munir. You make a really good point. Is that there's one thing breaking a habit, there's another thing introducing a new one. And I like the idea of putting our emphasis on creating a new habit. So you could say that the habit that you want to break is looking at the phone. So we know that's one thing to do. So what's the opposite of that? Well, the opposite of that is to make sure that you're looking away from your phone periodically. And I know that that sounds a bit pedantic, but we're talking here about neuroplasticity, and we need to be very clear about what instructions we're giving the brain that we want them to execute. So if our focus to everyone when we're thinking about creating new habits is that your focus is on the desirable outcome, not the thing that you're trying to work away from, because otherwise you end up, we get what we focus on. But we will go into that a little bit more as we go through these classes. So now, in the spirit of VE Day in the UK, I thought I would put in a little Churchill quote that is relevant today, which is: conscious effort, not strength or intelligence, is key to unlocking our potential. I'll say that again: conscious effort, which is what you're doing here today. You're showing up, you're showing a conscious effort, not strength or intelligence, is the key to unlocking our potential. So the reason why that's important is when we start thinking about eye exercises, we think about the old school fitness model, which I'm going to argue is outdated, and that we're thinking about really push the body to the limits and then we get strength. Now, obviously there's a certain truth to that, in that muscle tissue strengthens when we push it beyond its natural limits. But this idea that if you don't have that excessive component, that you're not going to strengthen. And the reason why that's a challenge with eye exercises is it's very important that we have a good balance when we're doing the eye exercises. We also, those that came to Wednesday morning's Clearer Vision webinar workshop that we did there, which went very well. Thank you for all of those that turned up. I really hope you got some good benefits of that. You'll see more sign-ups coming out to the Envision Self-Healing newsletter mail list this week for Wednesday's class. I'm a little bit behind on my schedule of setting these classes up, but it's going to be there, don't worry. Where was I? It's important that we create the strength on a foundation of relaxation. So right now, those of us that are new to this and starting again and getting these new vision habits going, like this is Dan's first class here today, so he's got an opportunity to do it right. It's kind of like learning to drive from an instructor instead of learning to drive from your cousin, which is fine. But we want to think about incorporating the correct habits in doing this and doing it in the right way. So a lot of the time the mind gets in there and says, okay, I'm going to do these eye exercises. I'm going to do 2-3 hours a day, which is me. Instead, let's just break that down in the beginning. Let's think about introducing new vision habits. And we can do that gradually. And we start with the blink, breathe, relax concept. And just that in itself could actually improve your eyesight. So it's important that you really start incorporating that into the day, as well as the quote here said about conscious effort, not strength or intelligence. So I spent the last decade really minding my way around the eye exercises, really thinking about them and dissecting them. But it's not the thoughts about the eye exercises that you're going to get improvements from. It's doing the exercises. And then in this kind of last year or so, it's been really highlighted to me the importance of kind of that sense of being grounded in the body, allowing the parasympathetic system, the rest recovery pair system of the body to be switched on and engaged, and that the exercises come from that place, not from a place of anxiety. So I'm just trying to save you guys a decade. Let me finish up this poll here. Okay, great. So we've got people in 7, 8s and 9s. So that means that I need to stop yapping and start doing some eye exercises. But my goal here is that I'm kind of setting you up for the week of being able to really fulfill this blink, breathe, relax, 5 breaks a week, 5 days a week. And then for some of you that have started the Clearer Vision workshops and the Clearer Vision exercise programs, then this is still a very important part of that. So it's almost like you're doing 2 classes, if you could think of it that way. So I just want to, thanks, Kathy. So Munir's got a quick question before we start. What's the difference between this series on Fridays and the one that we took on Wednesday? Are they 2 series or the Wednesday one continue? Yeah, so, okay, thank you, Munir. So I'm kind of trying to roll with the punches a little bit here and really trying to help the communities as much as possible. So that's why these things are kind of popping up as we go. But my plan moving forward is that Wednesday mornings is going to be the Clearer Vision workshop that you can get access to through the Envision Self-Healing newsletter. And then Friday mornings, but this might change, Friday mornings is going to be the Clearer Vision eye exercise class. So that's looking at more, I don't want to say strengthening the eyes, because I just told you guys about how doing the blink, breathe, relax is still strengthening the eyes, just a different kind of strength. But the Friday mornings class is going to be more about doing 30-40 minutes of eye exercises, kind of more strengthening style eye exercises. And then this class, noon on a Friday, this is about rest, recovery, repair of the eyes, releasing that strain from the eyes, starting to work to overcome Zoom fatigue that we're all going to be facing. And then I want to say, at least to be able to set this up for the next 4 weeks so that we can kind of have some consistency. So I do want to start bringing that to the community so we know what we're doing, but it's also in the midst of figuring everything out and looking after a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old, and all the rest of it being in the middle of pandemic. So just on the end of the poll here, just so that you guys know, 5 people in the group, 56% said that yes, much better this week than last week, so that's great. And then 33% said it was about the same, but not worse, which is still a good place to be. And then 1 person says, help, my eyes feel a lot worse this week. So, all right, so enough yabbing then. Kathy was just asking here about how does she join the Clearer Vision group. So the eye exercise group that's going to be Fridays is going to be reserved for people that take the informative webinar or the workshop Wednesday mornings, because we want to make sure that everyone's on the same page when we're doing those eye exercises. So if you attend Wednesday's class, then you can sign up to a mailing list, which will then get sent out the link to do the Fridays class. I spent a couple of hours this week trying to figure out how to get all this automated so it would be easier for you guys to do, but it's all a little bit jumbly, and you know, everyone wants their share of the pie. All these software companies, which they're very valuable, and I'm really pleased that they're around. But it's kind of trying to piece all these things together. I just want to say a quick hi to a few people that have come in here. David Lauenfels, nice to see you. Els, lovely to see you again over there in Belgium. I hope you've got some sunny weather. Hannah, lovely to see you. Are you still in Prague, Hannah? If you are, then Marketa said she was up for starting an eye exercise group in Prague with you. Kim, lovely to see you. Laura Hip, nice to see you. Sorry I didn't get back to you about your email this week. There will be another registration that will go out at some point at the beginning of the week for Wednesday morning's Clearer Vision class, so you'll see that. Linaka, I'm 90% sure I've mispronounced that, so please correct me, but thank you all for being here today. At the end of today, we're going to do a little bit of a vision walk, so if you're able to stick around at the end of the class, then you're welcome to see that. So let's spend the next 15, 20 minutes trying to de-stress the eyes. If possible, we're going to start here today by doing some distance looking. So I don't know how many people, and I think I need to add this to the poll so it gives me a little better understanding. Best case scenario is that your laptop or computer is near a window, and then you're able to look out of the window into the distance. And the reason why that is valuable, and you can kind of reset yourself if that's possible, just try to hear me, not essential, but important. Oh, okay. That's fine. Oh, thanks, Linika. Can you guys see me? Okay. Just make sure that everyone can you see the, okay. So yeah, okay. Next time that, next time that happens, let me know. Okay. How about now? Can you see me now? Nope, still can't. Okay. Let's see. So that would be that camera. Did the video, was the video off the whole time, or? That's okay. That's great. All right. All right, 1 second. The joys of technology. Both things are connected. All right, so while I figure this out here, because you don't need to see me anyway, but thank you very much for telling me, is I want you to look out in towards the distance, if possible. So ideally, you're looking out of a vista there, out into the distance. For some of you, it's evening time. So now we're coming into summer. It's going to be a little bit darker. But for some of you, this might be during the day, like if you're in Canada, then you'll be able to still do that. If someone could let me know if the video has come back now. Good. Okay. So what's frustrating is there's nothing changed on my screen here. It looks exactly the same. So that's annoying that you guys won't be able to see me, but sound is still good. And I do want to get these out on podcasts at some point. So looking out at the distance now, if you're not fortunate enough to have a landscape view, then if you don't have a landscape view, then you're trying to choose an object that's in your house. Ideally, something that isn't stressful, but that something that is, and stressful can be something like text because we're trying to see the images. But ideally, something that's part of nature or a nice photo or a nice picture. But other than that, I'm going to assume that we are looking into the distance outside. And if not, you can almost kind of visualize it. So let's just take an opportunity. The reason why looking into the distance is relaxing for the eyes is because it relaxes the ciliary muscles and allows the lens to flatten just a small amount, so that it brings a little bit of relaxation to the eyes. So let's start by taking a slow, deep breath in for 6 seconds. And out for 6 seconds. Again, slow, deep breath in for 6 seconds. And out for 6 seconds. So now take a second to tune into your blinking rate. Is your blinking slow? Do your eyes feel dry and stiff because you don't necessarily have that blinking rate? Maybe you just switching your awareness over to your eyes. Maybe you feel a little bit more sense of strain or discomfort there in your eyes. Just do a couple of blinks there and see for you what is true for you, whether your eyes feel relaxed. My eyes feel kind of a little bit warm. I was out doing my vision walk this morning and then playing with the computer to try and get that to work properly. So my eyes feel a little bit dry, a little bit strained. So the blinking is kind of giving me that information. As you continue to gaze out into the distance, don't necessarily worry about detail. If you're able to take your glasses off now, that would be a good time. Remember, the purpose of these relaxation eye exercises is not necessarily to try and see clearer, although some of you, I've forgotten who it was last week, maybe Marquetta, noticed that things got a little bit clearer while she was doing this exercise. So you can get clearer vision through relaxation, and I would argue that that's the whole purpose of natural vision improvement. So don't worry about necessarily trying to see more right now, although that's why a lot of people come to this work. Right now, we're thinking about relaxing the eyes, de-stressing the eyes, and looking into the distance is part of the natural component, the natural makeup of the eye, dare I say, the evolution of the eye is based around this distance looking. And I'm going on the assumption that we get to be a little bit more relaxed. Hunters and gatherers work day was only about 6 hours, and 3 hours of that I think was socializing based on the book Sapiens. If you've not read it, it's a good read, or a good listen. I use audiobooks to save my eyes. So tuning into your blinking, see if it's kind of slowed a little bit. You might notice that it's a little bit easier now that you're a little bit more sensitized to your eyes. We're going to take another slow, deep breath in for 6 seconds. And out for 6 seconds. Continuing to blinking. So this is the blink, breathe component of blink, breathe, relax. So continue blinking, looking out as far as you can into the distance. It could be the horizon, it could be the tops of houses, it could be trees. As we blink and we breathe, slow deep breath in for 6 seconds. And slow deep breath out for 6 seconds. Now we're going to condense the last 3 weeks of classes into one kind of exercise here. So I want you to continue blinking gently as you look into the distance. I want you to continue with your breath rate of 6 seconds, because it's hard for me to talk and breathe at the same time, which is a good exercise for me, as you could probably tell. But now what I'm going to ask you to do is gently take your fingertips, and I want you to just gently stroke your forehead. And this could be, for me, immediately, as soon as I do this, I can feel the muscles in my face want to relax. I can actually feel a little bit more strain in my eyes when I do this. And that's because I'm relaxing the nervous system around my face. I'm telling the nervous system to relax, and I'm telling the musculoskeletal system that it's time to take a break. As much as thoughts on my mind aren't interested in taking breaks, it just wants to keep going. It's a fantastic monkey mind. But right now we can use the gentle touch of our fingertips. And like I said last week, I used to hate this part of Mearsheimer's work, the founder of the Mearsheimer method of self-healing through movement and massage, because I came from a sports science background. So I wanted everything to be strength-based and challenging. I'm not interested in soft, gentle touch. But hopefully, if you notice, gently stroking your forehead from in between the center of the forehead and then on the cheekbones out towards the ears. And the reason why, especially with the forehead, that this can feel relaxing is because we tend to use those muscles in our forehead and in our face to squint to try and see, which can happen two ways. One, our eyes get fatigued during the day. I'm meeting people now as I'm starting to open up more private one-to-one virtual sessions, that I'm finding people are spending up to 15 hours a day in front of the computer. So I didn't necessarily realize naively that was something that a lot of people were really fighting with. So you could imagine staring at a screen for 15 hours, your eyes are going to fatigue, but that's it, they fatigued. You're not doing any eye exercises to help relax them and unfatigue them so they see clearer again. Relax your hands down by your side. Take a slow, deep breath in for 6 seconds, feeling that new heightened awareness in the face, that it feels a little bit more relaxed. And slow, deep breath out, kind of feeling almost like a sigh as the face has an opportunity to relax and release there from a hard week. I like doing these de-stress your eyes on a Friday because hopefully it's a nice kind of wind down for a lot of your visual strain, your Zoom fatigue that we're feeling. You might also notice now as you're gently blinking in the distance that it's a little bit easier to do the blinking, even though we haven't done any specific blinking eye exercises. You've allowed the muscles around the eye, and I'll geek out about fascia just for a second here as you're gazing into the distance and blinking gently. The fascia, especially the superficial fascial layer that covers the entire body as a whole, it's a giant net. It's like a giant garbage bag that covers the whole body, or a giant roll of cling wrap. Continue to blink, breathe, and relax. Now I'm going to ask you to take your thumbs and put them on the ridge of the eyebrow. So here you can do a little bit more pressure here. You're not on the eye, you're just on the ridge of the eyebrows, and you're feeling for those bumpy bits underneath the eye there. And follow the fingers, and this might feel tender for some of you or a lot of you. There is an acupuncture point here that can be uncomfortable if we push down on that. Just close your eyes for a second. Close your eyes. You're still in the position of looking into the distance, but close your eyes and continue pushing on the eyebrow. And notice how bringing yourself back into the body and switching the eyes off, which is only one of 5 key senses that we use on a day-to-day basis, but you could argue that probably about 80% of our day is focused on that visual sense. So closing our eyes allows us to switch that sense off and bring us back to the other 4 senses, and some are now saying up to 8 senses. As you continue to put pressure on the eye ridge there, gently stroke the forehead again and the cheeks again a couple of times, just to bring yourself back to that sense of awareness. From here, actually, with your eyes closed, I'm going to ask you with both hands, stroke your eyelashes like what we did previously in previous weeks, stroking the eyelash to bring our sensitivity over to our blink rate and the eyelashes. For me, I can feel that my eyes really want to relax right now in doing this, but the body or the mind is fighting it. Gently stroke the eyelids from the nasal side out towards the ears. Remember the quote we said at the beginning, that conscious effort, not strength or intelligence, is the key to our true potential. So right now you're putting a conscious effort, you're putting your conscious attention on a particular area of the body. In this case, it's your eyes. Go back to stroking the eyelashes now. And that conscious effort is telling it to relax, whereas 5 days a week or 7 days a week, we're telling the eyes, you need to see more, you need to work harder. And then if it starts getting blurry, instead of trying to relax the eyes, we either reach for stronger glasses or we move in towards the screen, which then tenses up the neck. So now what I'm going to ask you to do is continue stroking the forehead as you look out into the distance, and gently flutter your eyelids open But without the thought jumping in, I want you to stay more in the body. Stay feeling yourself in your seat, so you can feel your seat bones there on the seat. You can feel your hips. You can feel your low back. Draw your navel in slightly just to make sure that you're in that relaxed position. Let's continue looking into the distance, blinking gently as you take a slow, deep breath in for 6 seconds. And out for 6 seconds. Relax your hands down by your side. Continue looking in the distance as we take a slow, deep breath in for 6 seconds. And out for 6 seconds. This time, see if you can feel, almost visualize as if you're taking this breath in towards your eyes. I know that's not necessarily anatomically true, but keep gently looking out into the distance. We're going to take a breath into the eyes, take a slow, deep breath in for 6 seconds. And slow, deep breath out for 6 seconds. Again, slow, deep breath in for 6 seconds, looking out into the distance, seeing if you can pick up a smaller detail than you might have noticed before. So before, maybe you were looking at a tree with a bunch of branches, but now you might be able to see a couple of leaves that are on those trees, or you might be able to see a contrasting colors. Maybe there's a darker green than a lighter green, or maybe if you're looking at clouds, you can move to a different cloud and see if you notice a different detail on that cloud, although it's probably changed in the time that you've been doing this breathing. If you're looking at the top of a house, maybe gently, almost as if you're trying to paint the house, you're gently moving the eye over the rooftop and over the details of maybe the tiles, or maybe there's someone on their roof. I've just realized that 12 o'clock might be 8 o'clock, which I think when some countries do the clapping, maybe there's somebody outside clapping on their roof, which means they've been there too long. If you're inside looking at a painting, and you might notice a different detail on that painting, or maybe if you're looking at a plant, you can notice a more detail on the plant. So terminology wise, this is actually a Bates method called shifting, and we're shifting in the distance. I'm secretly teaching you all this information without you realizing it. And you're moving the eye in this soft, relaxed way. Again, is completely different from what we do during the day when we're so consciously focused, especially if we've got a deadline, or maybe a camera's not working on your Zoom and you're trying to frantically figure it out. There's room there to strain the eyes, and we don't necessarily undo them. But right now, you've taken that conscious effort to get back into the body to help switch on the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for rest, recovery, repair in the human body. You've slowed your blinking rate down, which means that you're starting to nourish the cornea. I love that word. You nourish the cornea when you do that slow, gentle blinking. It's because we don't have blood flow to the cornea, otherwise we wouldn't be able to see. We don't have those blood vessels, and the way it gets its nutrition is from the fluid inside the eye, the vitreous fluid, which I'm sure if you have glaucoma, you know all about that till the cows come home, because you hear about that all the time. But blinking is also a way that we get liquid over the cornea there. It also leaves a lipid layer. There's fat that's in those tear cells that nourishes the eye as well, and allows for that smoother blinking rate as you look into the distance. And that's why sometimes when you do that slow breathing with the blink, that things can come in clearer, because you've actually recreated that film on the eye. So as you blink, it spreads that liquid across the cornea. But then if you have dry eyes, it dries up quickly and evaporates, and you don't have that constant film over the cornea that's needed. So as we're doing this relaxed blinking breathing, you're looking out into the distance. You can feel the chair that you're sitting on supporting you. So you don't need any physical tension in the body. You don't need to be holding anything. You can just be focused on your rib cage expanding as you slowly breathe in for 6 seconds. And feel the rib cage slowly shrink as you breathe out, as you continue to blink, feeling any tension releasing in and around the eyes, gazing out into the distance, maybe noticing if there's any more clarity there. Things might be a little bit clearer. If not, it doesn't matter. Just knowing that right now, looking into the distance, you're relaxing the ciliary muscles, you're relaxing the lens of the eyes as well. You're giving the mind a chance to relax. And we haven't got into it yet, and we will do over the coming weeks. But by looking into the distance, you're also relaxing your extraocular muscles. I'm being very careful to ease you all in gently into all this information. So I'm trying to time release it as much as possible. But looking into the distance, your eyes aren't looking 6 feet in front of you from a net or a few feet in front of you, which is over engaging those nasal extraocular muscles. Right now, you're looking into the distance, which means that you're balancing your extraocular muscles because they're all looking into the distance. They're not having to one work harder than the other. And then by having you to gently move your eyes side to side or up and down, or painting a picture almost of the image that you're seeing of the landscape, you're allowing the eyes to work in a more fluid motion, which is what those extraocular muscles are used to doing when they work your eyes around and over an object. The term we want to use for that are saccadic movements, which is where the eye moves rapidly for detail. But if you're stuck staring at a screen for any more than 2 hours a day, that is the American Ophthalmology Association definition of putting you in the potential population for eye strain or computer vision syndrome, 2 hours a day. So if you're doing more than 2 hours a day, I don't like overly using that quote because it can make us stress, because a lot of us are using a computer for more than 2 hours a day. But it's an argument for you to be looking into the distance right now and what you're doing. It's the complete opposite of looking at a computer screen or being on Zoom all day, or Zoom fatigue. Other conferencing softwares are available. But right now you're allowing yourself to see what potential clearer vision could be, what could be there. That's why we call this natural vision improvement, as we do that gentle blinking. So we just got a few minutes here today, and I really wanted to emphasize the distance looking because so many of us really are spending all this time indoors, and it can be hard. I'm guilty of this. It can be hard to sit for 25 minutes and just gaze out into the distance. It's almost like, as a society, we have to give ourselves permission before we allow ourselves to relax and have any kind of wellness, hence the current mental health issue that we have globally, and will probably only continue to increase over the coming months as we start coming out of really what's going on here with this pandemic that we're experiencing with COVID-19. But my argument is that if we could start building this in as a break, and it doesn't have to be 20 minutes like this, but ideally you would be doing at least 10 minutes once a day where you gaze out into the distance, you reconnect with your breath, you do the blink, breathe, relax. Right now, the last couple of minutes, I want you to look into the distance, gently stroke your forehead again, and see if you notice less tension in your forehead than you did when we first started doing this. And we didn't do any aggressive massage there on the forehead, but that's because now we also relaxed the eyes. You can move to the cheekbones as well. You've now gone a step further and you've relaxed the eyes. And you've also allowed your thoughts and your mind to take a little bit of a break as well. It's hard for the mind that's used to being 2 feet in front of us, ruling the world from 8 billion different viewpoints, ruling the world, to try and get it to conform so that we're not anxious. But when you look into the distance at nature, it's more challenging for thoughts in the mind to really get in there and control everything. I was going to put a joke there and say try and control the leaves flowing in the wind. It wouldn't surprise me if thought really is trying to do that, if you think about it. So hopefully now you get more of a sense that your forehead and your face is a little bit more relaxed. We hit that 2 ends. Now close your eyes, gently stroke your eyelids. And I want you just to put a conscious effort into relaxing the eyes, visualizing and feeling as if the eye is softening, almost like a sponge. A lot of people describe their eyes when they first come to class as like a marble. Hopefully what we're trying to move towards now is kind of more of a softer material, maybe a spongy ball. Something that as you touch your eyes, your intent is now not one of stress, anxiety, oh my God, my eyes are blurry, I can't see. Right now, our intent actually is one of love, compassion, and nourishment. It's a nourishing touch. There's research that shows now, they're trying to encourage a lot more, that babies that are in the NICU or children that are in hospital, that they get touch because that's a nourishing touch. There's quite a few studies that show that we're healthier when we have the human touch towards us. I won't go into it now, but well, there was one study in an orphanage where the children, the carers came and picked them up once a day. They grew taller than the children that had been neglected physically and didn't get that human contact. And right now, you're doing that human contact to your eyes, and hopefully it's softening the eyes, and your intent is one of softening. And now relax your hands down by your side, continue looking into the distance, gently blink, and it can be more of a butterfly blink that I call it, where it's kind of more of a rapid blinking as you allow that normal rate to come in. Let's take a conscious, slow, deep breath together. In for 6 seconds. And out for 6 seconds. One last time. Slow, deep breath in for 6 seconds. And out for 6 seconds as you continue blinking, breathing. And know that you're able to revisit that anytime by yourself. You don't necessarily need me. Next week, I'm going to put this this up live. You'll get last week's class. I'm going to send that out this afternoon or tomorrow, so that you'll be able to listen to that and repeat it a little bit. But notice that as you're looking into the distance, you don't need a degree, right? Again, like that Churchill quote stated, that conscious effort, not strength or intelligence, right? You don't necessarily need visual intelligence to be doing this. You just need to understand the basics. And that as you're looking out into the distance, the eye is more relaxed. So let's, the poll is up now. I'm about to fall asleep after doing that one. Notice the demand increases. I've just spent 30-40 minutes so you don't have to work hard, but it is like you have to work harder to relax the eyes when they are more strained. And that's definitely kind of a guided, literally a guided visual meditation that we're doing there, that incorporates kinesthetic awareness, which is why I think it's so effective to be able to do it through this kind of medium. And because I've spent over a decade doing this with myself and then also with clients, I have a good idea where a lot of you are at when you're feeling that sense of strain, be it good or bad, for me. So one last chance to fill in that poll there, right now we have 100% success rate on people feeling better with their eyes there. Make note of the number that you said at the end of this, because next week's class, you're going to be asked that same question of how did you get on this week? So you can make a little note of that visual strain there, so you can see whether you've improved next week or not. Not that we want to make it into this mind game, but if you can do the goal then here for next week, by this time next Friday, this is a commitment that you make to yourself. This time next Friday, I will have taken 5 blink, breathe, relax breaks. I'm not going to force you to write it down and sign it. I will get there at some point to hold you guys accountable. But the blink, breathe, relax is a way of incorporating this technique into your day. There is also the idea here that it's not just about how do you undo tension. What's equally as important is how do you prevent your eyes from fatiguing? How do you prevent the eye strain from taking place? So thank you very much for being here today. I'm going to do the vision walk here, but I know that some people need to get on. I do want to make sure, and as the class kind of evolves, sorry, I just wanted to respond to something. Kathy, I'm glad that you saw a big shift in clearer vision there. I'm going to talk to Leanna's comment in a second here, and I'm going to open up for some questions, and maybe I'll do the vision walk right at the end for those people that are interested in the vision walk, and I'll open up to questions now, because it is a process. If you do have a question, you can put it in the chat box or in the Q&A, and I'll answer those now for those that need to rush off. What I was saying is that I do want to try and keep this to 30 minutes, which is challenging. There's quite a bit of information that I want to get across, and I'm also experimenting with new things in the class at the same time. But I do want to show to you that in 30 minutes, you can get more relaxation in the eyes, and it can fluctuate from week to week. But do think about just trying to have that commitment that Fridays for 30 minutes, I'm going to de-stress my eyes, because we also then go into the weekend with more relaxed eyes. One of my favorite things after a busy week in Silicon Valley running my own business was to do a yoga class on a Friday afternoon. I do consider this eye yoga, which I'll go into more in future sessions. But it's almost like it was a full stop for the week. And right now everything's blending into one. So it's important, and I probably shouldn't publicly announce this, but I'm making it that 5 p.m. on Friday is happy hour for my family and friends who wants to join, where we make a drink at 5 o'clock, because that signals the weekend. And then I've also made a rule where I'm not allowed to check work emails Saturday and Sunday, because also a lot of my work is connected with my phone, with my laptop. So I try to just put that away. And that's the Friday afternoon is such a good time for you to say, I've worked my eyes hard this week. We've done well. Let's deeply relax them. Let's get into the weekend and have some visual success there. And those of you that get out for your walk at the weekends as well, it might be more of a relaxed walk because you don't have mind thoughts going on necessarily about work during the day. And hopefully what's starting to get across to you guys is that thought is connected to our vision. Again, I'm not going to go into it now. I'm going to open up questions. But if we're spending our day in an anxious state of fight or flight response, your visual system is looking for danger. It's looking for a tiger that's about to eat it. And that's a lot different than if you were sitting on a hill looking out at the horizon eating a lion, or eating vegetables. You don't have to eat meat to be relaxed looking into the distance. That's my... All right, so I'm going to respond to a couple of these questions now. So Leanna was saying that her eyes were feeling strained still, and that it's too bright out at noon. My eyes can't really relax under the bright sunshine. So you're right there, Leanna. And what that means is, and this is something that is a little bit more challenging to address, but I'll bring it up globally, and then it's something that we can, over the coming weeks, we can really start to figure out how we can work with this. One of the downsides, there's a lot of downsides, but a key downside of being indoors all day, staring at your screen, is the eye evolved to natural sunlight. And I'm not going to get into the whole sunglasses debate and the fact that the medical world is saying that the sun is the #1 evil component that was sent here to destroy our vision. I'm not going to get into that right now. I'm not saying don't wear sunglasses. I'm just saying that there's an argument that the eye evolved around the sun, and that getting exposure, daily natural exposure to sunlight is healthy to the eyes. There was a recent study that showed that children not going outside could actually be one of the key reasons that we have such high myopia rates and why it's rising, because the eye needs sun to be strong and healthy, whereas in myopia, the eyeball elongates. So if we're not getting sun exposure, and I'm not saying look at the sun with your eyes open, I'm saying sun exposure, which is just being outside. Wearing a hat is still good, obviously. But getting that sun exposure is valuable. Now, if we're stuck indoors all day, we're not getting that exposure. So if you then get outside or looking outside from the inside, now there's a challenge there, because there's this big contrast of this 10,000 watt sun versus the light that's inside. So yes, you're right there. I just want to double check there, because I've only got half of your name that's showing up. Like I said it right at the beginning, like Linaka. I might just call you Lynn, if that's okay. I hope you don't mind. I shorten everyone's name. So yes, so the eye exercise solution for that is the sunning eye exercise. Again, I'm trying to ease everyone in with these eye exercises here, and I'm trying to water drip this material so that you guys really get the basics down. I'm excited. I'm excited for the summer. I'm excited for these classes for the summer, because I'm going to start. I'll do some outside. I want to start showing you some eye exercises outside. I've got a larger plan here for clearer vision for people and better eyesight for you. But I want to introduce the basics. So what it means for you is that if it's a strain being outside, then you either need to do a couple more periodic exposures to natural sunlight, not staring at the sun. Having the eyelids closed as you just kind of look out the window can be a way of doing it. It could also be that there's so much strain there in the eyes that to have natural sun exposure is too much, in which case, again, I'm throwing in a new exercise, but I can't avoid it, is the palming eye exercise, which can help deeply relax the eyes further. We are going to do that exercise over the coming weeks, but I want to get these basics down now. So it's a case of the eyes for you to be able to see in the great outdoors, but you're also right in the fact that it's noon time, so the sun is going to be brighter. So ideally, you would be kind of doing these exercises in the morning or in the afternoon when the sun isn't so intense. So that's another way of doing it. And there's just a natural fact that the sun is strongest at noon. So I'm not really suggesting that people do sunning at noontime, because the sun is its hottest at that point, and that morning and afternoon. I know that was an overkill on the question there, but I just wanted to say that. So Kevin was asking here what causes floaters. So there's several things there that can cause floaters, but ultimately what it is it's either a change in proteins in the vitreous humor in the eye, in the back of the eye. It can be bits of debris that come off the retina, and that's why that can also tend to increase as we age, because the natural aging process of the eyes is that these things will start to appear. In general, eye floaters can't hurt you. They're more frustrating and annoying than they are damaging, but they can, like for me, I've kind of got a cluster or like a web of floaters from an old boxing injury in the left eye. So that can be quite disturbing for that. So it's being able, if you notice, if you look at the floater, it disappears. So that's one way of getting it to move out of the way before you then continue with what you're doing, or just kind of practice to blink, breathe, relax as you look through it to work with that. So, okay, so then Marketa was also saying that she gets the same as Lanaka in the bright sunshine. So part of that could also be the RP there, Marquetta. And also, again, with retinitis pigmentosa, I don't want to get into this debate now, is that they're suggesting that you avoid the sun because it speeds it up. So I don't have a scientific study to say that that's false. I'm only just going on the fact that if I go out into the sunshine and things feel strenuous, I do 5 minutes of sunning, and then things seem clearer, brighter, my eyes are more relaxed. So my eyes adjust to it. Also, to me, I feel that the sun is very nourishing to the eyes. I did meet a vision improvement instructor in Brazil when I did an advanced vision training in Brazil with the team down there, which was amazing. I met a woman who went blind for cataracts. I think she was blind for about 10 years. She couldn't drive, and she told me this as she was driving me to the workshop. I said, you could have told me this before, that you were blind before you started driving me from the restaurant to the workshop. But what her story, which is amazing, is that no one would operate to remove the cataracts because her retina was deemed too weak. She did 3 hours of sunning every day for several months. And then she finally convinced an ophthalmologist to do the surgery on the worst eye. She said, well, what's the worst going to happen? I'm already blind anyway. So they removed that lens and they found a healthy retina behind the dense cataracts, which encouraged the doctor to remove the second cataracts. And there she was driving me. So, yeah, so I'm just going on life experience there as well. So sunning exercise morning and afternoon can be valuable to help that. Activating the periphery as well, which we didn't do today, but we'll look to do that next week. I just really wanted to get this distance relaxation looking down for you guys today. Yeah, so there is a way. So don't, just because your eyes feel strained right now, same Marquetta, same Lanaka, doesn't mean it's going to be like that all the time. That can also be a sign of eye strain. When you do that, and Marquetta is saying that yes, it does improve after she does some sunning there, which is good. Question here from John. Used to have an associate, is still around? So yeah, so Richard and I worked on the Envision self-healing project for several years there, which was a great success. Our goal was to take somewhat hidden information. It was very difficult for people to get hold of information about natural vision improvement. So we had a big goal to really blow the lid open and just reach as many people as possible. So we focused 2 years on really getting that YouTube channel going, getting Vision Self-Healing open and going so people can have that information. And then we felt like we had really kind of expressed all the cracks of our information. So we went our separate ways at that point. To focus on family. He's got a lovely family, and he also moved away from San Francisco at that time as well. And then I've got 2 beautiful young girls and a beautiful wife. So it's Mother's Day on Sunday, so I'm trying to make sure that I didn't get in trouble. So we've got some nice events planned for Sunday just to make sure that we keep things smooth, especially when you're on lockdown. Yeah, so he is, but I don't think he's necessarily doing much online there. Not too sure. But yeah, we were very pleased in what we got. All right, so a couple minutes here then. I just want to share with you this vision walk video that I promised, but it does involve me being able to work technology. So give me 60 seconds and I will pull that up. Notice how looking at the computer screen already now, the eyes want to start to tighten. They want to start to tighten around the computer screen and fixate on that one area again. So that's that habit. So the visual strain habit that you formed, it's a habitual pattern. So it wants to come back in again. So it's important that you catch it as soon as possible, because that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to create a new habit for you, so that your what you see is one of relaxation, even in times of challenging. So if someone could let me know in the chat that you can see this video. I've lost everyone. Okay. All right, 1 second. Okay, can see the video, can see the video, looks beautiful. Okay, great. So, let's see. Okay, good. So you can see this is a little garden in San Francisco. There's several of these that we walk around during the day. So when we go on our vision walks, what we're looking for is for someone who has very kindly gone out of their own way to try and make things look beautiful. So you can see here that you've got all the white in the center of the screen here, those white flowers with all this other different colors, which is beautiful. So just this scene in itself, what I would ask when we do the eye exercise of shifting in the distance and have you paint over the roof and do some coloring in there, you could imagine doing that with this scenery. You've got the rocks on the left-hand side there that's made up of several different rocks. So as your eye would kind of move from rock to rock as it goes along there, you're not necessarily trying to see detail. You can then move over to these beautiful flowers in the middle here. And what's nice about this is you've got the contrast of the white on the darker green and with the shade. So it's easier to see, whereas you see the white flowers on the right-hand side is a little bit brighter. So that speaks a little bit to what we were talking about with things being too bright. So there's a natural component there. So when I go out to look at here, as a broad shift, I would say I could move from the rocks to the flowers over to these pink flowers in the background there. So I could gently move rocks, white flowers, pink flowers. I can then go back to the white flowers and then back to the rocks again. So I can move. When I'm talking about larger, broader shifting, I'm talking about moving object to object, so tree to tree, place to place. This is up close or closer, and we can move from clump to clump, but then you can also move from detail to detail. So you can move from rock to rock, or you could move from flower to flower when you're looking at the middle flower, and then when you've got the pink one. So this is a couple of minutes here. So you can see that you can just kind of look over the flowers, that beautiful flower bed there. And then you've got this beautiful bright pink color coming in, and you can move from flower to flower. And you can also notice that there's larger gaps in those flowers. So you're having to shift. This is too much information. You have to shift, whereas the small flowers, they're closer together. So you've got larger shifting going on. So this is the shifting exercise as you look from detail to detail. You can then look up into the distance, right? So now I'm encouraging you, you've looked at the flowers from near a little bit, you've gone from flower to flower, and now you're looking up at the top of a tree here. So when I talk about shifting in the top of the tree, you can see we've got this beautiful outline here on the top of the trees that you can scan around, or you can move from tree to tree that you've got through here. Or you can move from, so what I would say, clump to clump or branch to branch, which is wrong because you can't see the branch. But you could imagine that if there were no leaves there, you would see where the branches are coming out. So I started off by looking near at these flowers and just for a split second looked up into the distance to get a little bit of a relaxation of the lens and eyes. And then you can go back to these beautiful flowers again, moving from flower to flower. Again, your focus is blink, breathe, relax. Here, I'm looking further into the distance here in San Francisco. We've got all these fantastic hills, and now I'm pretty keen to get out there again. This gentleman is replacing a door. So now I looked even further down the road here, or just some kind of different scenery. Notice how your desire to look at this scene of a house and concrete and wires, it's not as attractive for the eye as if you were looking at the beautiful flowers and the trees. So just to re-emphasize there about the importance of nature and doing this, distance looking and looking at the shifting. Here I'm looking at this plant, which has this amazing different kind of shapes. So I'm picking out all these different details. Another side note here is that movement can be helpful. So this is water moving down. So that's a natural, I'm going to pause it for a second. That's a natural movement. So that's activating your periphery in that sense, or like the paramacula, and it prevents you from straining as much because there's movement. And then here I'm looking at these leaves here, and at the detail of these leaves, which is the smallest detail that we've kind of talked about looking at previously. So there's ways of, here's my daughter there, taking some of the water. Notice how children are naturally curious to want to look at this stuff. So this is what we're trying to recreate, natural vision, in the sense that children are fantastic examples of this, as we see their curiosity to look at things. So here is another example of doing close up shifting, where you can look from petal to petal as a larger size, or you can look within the flower there, where the pollen is, move from pollen to pollen, but you're doing it in a relaxed rate. That's why it's so important that I get this blink, breathe, relax across to you. My daughter there with an ergo carrier that she carries a little ducky around in. And again, here's my 1-year-old looking at Dee. She's so curious, a lot more curious than I wish. She's just into everything. But it's so natural. She can't stay still in one place any longer than a couple of seconds. And it's moving. So that's how I want your vision to be. Again, I'm looking at this plant here, and you can see now all of a sudden you're looking at these different leaves. You can go from petal to petal on the flower. And luckily, people aren't going to think you're crazy. They just think you're enjoying a flower bed. And you can do this simultaneously while walking, as long as you're aware. Some gentlemen painting the house. All of a sudden, everything becomes an eye exercise, which is what I want to get across to you. And let me come back to me for a second as we wrap up now. Well done for those of you that have made it this far. So I just saw my terrible posture there. Did that help at all? If you could just comment yes. I know that was kind of a little too much information there, but what I want to be able to do is set you up so that you're maximizing on these exercises during the week, so that it's natural vision improvement. You don't need really any special tools for this. As long as you've got your eyes, you're golden. So we can start blending healthy activities that you're already doing. We can blend them together so you can really maximize your results. So I'll go into more detail than that. But this week, if you could at least go out on what I would call a vision walk, or at least dedicate 5 minutes to what I would call a vision walk. I do this. I'm just I go out for a walk. I'm distance looking, and then I'll stop and observe a flower garden. But what I want to emphasize for you when we're doing this right now is that you incorporate that blink, breathe, relax when you're doing it. We're running massively over, so I apologize. We do the blink, breathe, relax when you're doing it, because there's no point doing that if you're going to strain your eyes. That's the complete opposite of what we're trying to do. Okay, so let's make that the focus. Our goals for this week is for you to do 5 for 5, 5 blink, breathe, relaxes over the next 5 days, and you're going to show up next week, because if you're in here now, you're committed, I'm afraid, including you, Dan, even though it was your first. Dan, was that helpful, by the way? Would you mind just saying yes, if that was helpful to the class, and whether you'll be back next week. Don't worry, I won't tell people if it was terrible and you won't. So, okay, good. Yeah, Dan's going to be back next week. He said it was very helpful. So let's start with the basics here. As you can tell, I've got a lot of information to really get across to you guys, but let's stick with the basics. The purpose of this class is relaxation of the eyes, and the other classes are going to be more about clearer vision and details. But just during this stressful time for all of us, very challenging time in the middle of this pandemic, so many of us are locked indoors. That 30 minutes when you get out can be very valuable. So it can be a little bit more than, I see people walking down the road looking at their phones. Complete waste of time. No offense if that's you, and I still do it, but we could be really maximizing on this time. So when you're outside, if it's safe, you're looking into the distance, you can stop from time to time and look at details. Blink, breathe, relax, and that's going to help you bring from the fight or flight into the parasympathetic to make you more relaxed. Let's see if we can maximize on this time. So this time next week, I'm going to ask you if you did your 5 for 5. One person did it this week. Fantastic. Congratulations. You get to go have your 5 o'clock cocktail hour. You don't have to drink. It can be a non-alcoholic one. And then you're all welcome to that. You've all done well this week. And then I'm going to ask you that for next week. And let's see if you can do at least one of these vision walks. And you can report back to me on how you got on next week. Okay, well done for sticking with it on this De-Stress Your Eyes marathon here today. Those of you, I'm going to send out the recording tomorrow, this afternoon or tomorrow, for last week's class. It's already out, actually. If you go on the Envision Self-Healing YouTube channel, that's actually there on the YouTube channel, but I'll send a link out for that over the next couple of days. And then if you found this information helpful, other than making sure you come back next week, please do share it with a friend, or when the link comes through for the class, share it through your social media or email. Just forward it on to some people that you think that would be helpful. Wednesday morning, there's going to be another clearer vision workshop. So invitation's going to go out for that week. It's going to be capped again. So I suggest that you try and sign up for that when it comes through. It's sold out in 24 hours this week. That will quieten down as time goes on, I'm sure. And then those of you that already attended the Clearer Vision workshop, next Friday morning, we're going to have a Clearer Vision eye exercise workshop for you to do. If you come to the webinar on Wednesday, then you'll be able to come to Friday's class. Thank you very much for taking the time, for being here today to work on your vision and wellness and mental health, all very valuable during these challenging times. I wish you all a very lovely weekend, a fantastic week next week, wishing you peace, love, and happiness. Have a good week, and all the best with your vision work this week, and I'll see you next Friday.